everyone, it's Hailey, and today I'm going to be talking about some books that I'm late to read. I'm so excited to be doing today's video. It is sponsored by Disney Book Group. Thank you so much to them for working with me, but it is inspired by the recent release of Unbirthday by Liz Braswell. This book is finally here. I'm so excited for it. I have been looking forward to it for so long. Ever since I found out it was happening, I was like, oh my gosh, yes, I need this in my hands right now. And I can't believe it's already here because fall seemed so far away, like September seemed forever away, but here we are. So this is the latest installment in Disney's Twisted Tales series, where they take classic Disney fairy tales and twist them on their head by answering a little question. So for this one, it is obviously an Alice in Wonderland retelling. I don't think I mentioned that yet, but it's an Alice in Wonderland retelling. If you didn't know, I love Alice in Wonderland. It's the whole inspiration for my channel, so I cannot wait for this. But this is asking the question, what if Wonderland was in peril and Alice was very, very late? I cannot wait to see what's going to happen in this book. I haven't read an Alice in Wonderland retelling in a really long time, so it's definitely one that I'm hoping to get to soon. This book is out now. It came out September 1st, so you can order your copy or get it in stores. I will have a link down below for you guys. If you are going to get it in stores, be sure to wear your mask. And thank you once again to Disney Book Group for sponsoring today's video. So appropriately, we are starting with this book because I have a big list of books that I am late to read. I'm not even holding all of them in the thumbnail because at one point I was like, I'm not going to be able to carry these, so we're just gonna do it with this pile. I have a tendency to read whatever I want, and I like reading really popular books. I definitely read popular fiction, but I also tend to read some books that I haven't really heard that much about and I just kind of have found on my own, and I just read whatever I want in general, so I end up being late for a lot of books that have a lot of hype, and I have a fair amount of books here to talk about that I can't believe I haven't read yet, to be honest. Now, these aren't all sequels. There's like a mix of everything in here. There definitely are some sequels because those take me forever to get to, but I say appropriately we're talking about Unbirthday by Liz Braswell today because I haven't read any of the books in the Twisted Tales series yet. The reason for this isn't because I don't want to. It's because I've been waiting to do a readathon, but I've been waiting so long that I have 4 of them here. I mean, 5 of them if you count Unbirthday, and I will definitely be doing that week-long readathon very soon because, oh my goodness, I need to get to these. I am so excited for all of them. We have So This Is Love, which is Cinderella, Mirror Mirror, which is Snow White. I don't know why I just blanked. I literally just looked at it. Straight On Till Morning, which is Peter Pan, and Part of Your World, which is Little Mermaid. And I just feel like a week of all the Disney stuff sounds absolutely beautiful like this, and then I will also read Unbirthday. That sounds like an amazing time, and I really just need to do it. Now, this list really has no rhyme or reason to it because there are so many books that I didn't organize it, but speaking of Alice in Wonderland retellings, I also haven't gotten the chance to read The Looking Glass Wars by Frank Bador yet. I don't really know why I haven't read this one yet, to be honest. I feel like I've been kind of skeptical about it, and I can't really explain why that is, but it's definitely one that like I want to read, and I guess I just need to do it, which is just going to be the theme of this video. I also have The Looking Glass House by Vanessa Tate, which I should read. This one, I know I've been really hesitant because it's like the lowest rated book on my Goodreads, but I was like, as such an Alice fan, I feel like I need to read it because it's written by one of the ancestors of Alice Little, Real Life Alice, so I feel like it is kind of required reading for me, but I've just been scared to do it. Speaking of Alice, once again, so I have like 3 historical fictions that I have included on like 3 or 4 TBRs in the past little bit, and I still haven't read them yet. And Alice by Heart by Stephen Sater is one of them. This sounds like everything I would love. It's Alice in Wonderland mixed with historical fiction, so super cool, and I've been so into historical fiction recently that now seems like the time, but I actually started reading this one at some point and I found the writing to be really dense, so I'm going to see if I can get my hands on the audiobook if there is one and go from there, or else I will like physically read it because I feel like I need to read it. But the other 2 historical fictions, if you've been watching my TBRs, you probably know what I'm going to talk about, but they are both by the same author, and that is Monica Hesse. This is The War Outside and They Went Left. Now, I read, what is it? The Girl in the Blue Coat by Monica Hesse, and that's one of my favorite historical fictions. I loved it. And I've had these 2. I've had this one since it came out out this past year, and I've had this one since it came out. Like, I had an arc of it, and I just never got the chance to read either of them. Both of them are, once again, World War II historical fictions. This one deals with internment camps, and this one is about two characters who have been recently liberated. They're siblings, and they're trying to find each other again. So definitely not going to be easy reads, but I've been loving historical fiction so much that, once again, now seems like the time, but I just haven't gotten to these yet, and like, I so want to read them. I'm embarrassed that I haven't gotten to them yet because they've been on many a TBR. Even if I don't like actually say it, they have been there. I just haven't mentioned it because embarrassing. I also haven't gotten the chance to read Dating You, Hating You by Christina Lauren yet. This is the last Christina Lauren book that I haven't read, other than their, I don't even know what it's called, but they have like an office romance series that doesn't really interest me that much, maybe in the future, but this is an enemies to lovers sort of romance, and I think that's why I haven't really read it yet. But considering that it's the last one that I haven't read by them, I feel like I should read it. Like, I love pretty much everything else that they've come out with, so I should at least give it a chance, even though Enemies to Lovers isn't my favorite. Another adult romance that I really need to get to soon is Well Met by Jen DeLuca. I've actually pre-ordered the companion. It might be a sequel. It's probably a companion though, because it's a romance novel, but this seems like such a cute story, and I've heard such rave reviews about it. It's a Renaissance fair sort of romance, which sounds like a lot of fun, and I've heard so many good things that I don't know why it's taken me so long to pick this up. Similarly is Bringing Down the Duke by Evie Dunmore, which is another adult romance. This one is a historical adult romance though, and I don't generally read those, but I've heard amazing things about this one again, and I feel like if I'm going to read an adult historical fiction romance thing, then this should be the one that I pick up next, but I don't know, I haven't gravitated towards it. Now, the first of many sequels on this list is A Reaper at the Gates by Saba Tahir. I don't know what the last book of this, I think it's the last book of this series is called, but I know it's coming out sometime this year or early 2021, and I still need to read the third one, but I think I haven't read this one yet because I need to reread the second one, and that's always where I get tripped up, is I read the first book and then I forget everything that happens because I have the memory of a snail. I don't know if snails have good memories. They might. I'm sorry if they do. Basically, I have a very bad memory. I forget everything like immediately after it happens, and that includes with the books that I read. So A Torch Against the Night, I don't remember what happened. An Ember in the Ashes, I don't remember what happened. So when I'm reading a series, as the books come out, they come out generally a year or more apart from each other, and by the time the sequel comes out, I forget everything and I'm like, what is happening? And that's why I don't pick up sequels. But I love this series so much. I loved the first book. I think I liked the second one too, so I need to read it. I actually have two books here that are kind of the same thing. So Graceling by Kristen Kishore and The Last Magician by Lisa Maxwell. I say these two are the same thing because I had them and then I unhauled them and then I repurchased them. I repurchased this one. This one I hadn't quite gotten rid of yet, but because Hannah read them and really liked them and was raving about them, so I was like, okay, I had the intention of reading them soon, but you know how it's been with the fantasy, so that's why I haven't gotten the chance to get to them yet, but definitely hope that I will be able to squeeze them in soon. Next is Traitor Angels by Anne Blankman. This one I'm sad I haven't read yet because I've probably owned this for like 2 or 3 years now. I don't even remember at this point, but Anne Blankman is the author of Prisoner of Night and Fog, which I thoroughly enjoyed, and I read that a long time ago, like when I first started doing booktube. This is her only other book, I think, and I just haven't ever picked it up, which makes me really sad. This also is an interesting concept because it's about John Milton, I think. Yeah, so I don't know what's gonna happen, but like, it seems cool, and I liked her first book so much, her first duology, so why would I not like this one? We'll see. Next is Uprooted by Naomi Novik, which is another book that I feel like I've had for a fair amount of time now, and the reason that I feel like I'm late for this one is because a lot of people really love it, and so many of you guys keep on telling me that it would be something that I would really love, so I feel like I need to get on that. Next is Wicked Like a Wildfire by Lana Popovich. I don't even know how long I've had this book. I bet it's been like 3-4 years now, and I got this in a fairy loot and I loved the cover for it, which is kind of why I've kept it, but also it seems like a sort of magical contemporary, which I tend to really enjoy, but I've never felt inclined to pick it up for whatever reason. I can't explain why. I mean, I have tried, obviously, because I have like the flap in here. How far did I get? Page 8, so really nailed it. I just don't want to get rid of this one if it is going to be something that I enjoy, and something is making me hang on to it, and I can't explain what it is. Another sequel here, it is The Wicked King by h.leblanc. I think I have The Queen of Nothing too. Actually, it's white, so it would be in my other shelf, but I read The Cruel Prince when it first came out and I liked it. I didn't fall in love with it, and I had an arc of The Wicked King, but I think I gave it to my sister because she really liked The Cruel Prince, but then she didn't like The Wicked King so much, and I think maybe that's why I haven't gotten around to continuing with the series, although since I have both of them, I really want to. Like, I didn't even know that I had pre-ordered Queen of Nothing before it showed up on my doorstep, which is like a problem. I need to not do that. I mean, I don't really do that anymore, but yeah, that was, I need to continue with it to see if I even like it. Next is a book that I included on my TBR for this month because I really want to get to it, and I didn't know if there were going to be more books in this series. I thought it might just be a duology, but it's actually going to be a quartet. However, I think that you guys had mentioned that the next book isn't coming out until next year, so I do still have time. That is Starsight, by the way, by Brandon Sanderson. Skyward is the first book. This is the second one. I loved Skyward when I read it, and I am excited that there's going to be more to the series. Like, I love the writing of it. I love the sarcastic characters, the witty banter, all of that stuff, and just everything about it is what I want from a sci-fi, which I generally don't enjoy that much, but this one I love. And I wanted to read the sequel like right when it came out, but it was Christmas, so that didn't happen. And now it's just been so long, and like, I hope I can get to this month. Speaking of Brandon Sanderson, I still haven't read Mistborn. I was going to read it, and then COVID happened. Literally the week that everything shut down where I live is when I went to go and pick this book up, which like might seem like a good thing, like, oh, everything's shutting down, then you have a lot of reading time. But I know throughout quarantine, my reading has been going up and down and all over the place, and a lot of you guys have been experiencing that too. And the beginning of it was just a way down. Like, I couldn't read anything. So unfortunately, that's when I tried to pick this one up. I've tried to pick it up like 3 or 4 times now, and it's not the book's fault, it's just circumstances. I tried reading it when I was going to England, but I didn't finish it on the plane ride, obviously. Like, it's a big book. In hindsight, I should have picked a smaller book that I would be able to finish, but I picked this one. It was a decision, and I just, oh god. I've heard so many amazing things though, and I think my expectations are too high, so I'm terrified. Next is another book from my September TBR, Leviathan by Scott Westerfeld. Scott Westerfeld is the author of The Uglies, which was like, I feel like the first book series that I ever really fell in love with. And this one came out when I kind of wasn't really reading, and it's a historical fiction, World War I, steampunk, seems super cool, unique, and inventive, and I would like to read it because I've heard really good things about it. It's been out forever. Like, how long has this book even been out? 2009. So that's, why can't I math? 11 years. My brain stopped working. I can't math, but that's a long time, so I feel like it's time for me to read it. Speaking of time for me to read it, the other book that I want to talk about is on the bottom of this pile here, so I'm gonna have to use my muscles and get it. Okay, so we have 2 big books here that once again have been included on many a TBR, and that is Kingdom of Ash and Crescent City by Sarah J. Maas. No, I have not finished the Throne of Glass series yet. I just, like, it came out at the time when fantasy and I started having our struggle relationship. I do still love fantasy. It's not that I've grown out of it. I just have been so lazy and not wanting to pick up something that requires a ton of brain power. I don't know, like, I'm really working on that. I'm hoping in September I'll be able to read a fantasy, but Crescent City at least came out at the beginning of the year. It's her first adult fantasy, so I feel like this one's okay. This one has been out for probably 2 years now, and like, have I read it yet? No. But this one is also a situation where, like, it's been so long since I've read the rest of the series that I'm gonna have to get caught up, and I'm not gonna reread all of them because that would be a lot, but I'm gonna go on Recaptains, which is a website where it like recaps the first book, so it's very helpful. It's just sometimes I'm too lazy to even do that. I'm just very lazy. Next is The Passion of Delphi by Julie Berry. This one I feel like is kind of like okay, but I am still surprised that I haven't read it yet because I read Lovely War by Julie Berry this past year and it blew my mind. I fell in love with that story. So this is her other book and her other historical fiction, and it's set during Constantinople, I believe, but it's set in Provence in France. And I know I said that like not the French way, but I don't want to butcher it, and I will never speak French or do French things on camera because no thanks. thank you. But the reason for that is I just find it embarrassing because I know I sound dumb. But anyways, I have heard incredible things about this book, and knowing how much I loved Lovely War, I feel like this is gonna be a book that I'm automatically gonna love. So I need to get to it in the next little bit. Next is Aurora Rising by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. This one is by the authors of Illuminae, which I really enjoyed, and I've tried reading this one and I just haven't seen it all the way through. So I think that I need to give it another go and see if I'm going to stick with it or if I'm going to DNF it entirely and just make that decision. Because right now I'm just kind of like, am I gonna like it? Am I gonna read it? And I need to make a decision. Next is The Beauty of Darkness by Mary E. Pearson. This is the author of, I read like a book by her before BookTube. It was like forever ago, but this is the third book of the Remnant Chronicles, and then she also has Dance of Thieves, which I also have. So that one is set in the same world, but I need to reread Heart of Betrayal, which is the second book, which is why I haven't gotten to this one yet, although I do really love The Kiss of Deception. So sequels, man, I struggle. Next is Carry On by Rainbow Rowell. I'm gonna talk about this real briefly. So I've included this on a lot of TBR, saying I'm gonna give it one more chance because I've tried the audiobook, I've tried physically reading it, and it just hasn't done it for me. And I know so many people love this book, but I just haven't gotten the chance to get into it. So I'm going to, at some point, give it one last chance, physically reading it, and see if I will end up liking it. If I don't, then I'm done with it. Like, I'm gonna give it like 100 pages and then I'm done, because I have tried. I have gotten past that mark with the audiobook, and it just, I didn't feel like I knew what was going on. So we shall see if I end up seeing it through and end up liking it. I'm not optimistic, I gotta say. I also am very late to Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. So this came out last year. It is going to be on my October TBR for sure. It is by my favorite author. I love Leigh Bardugo, but this is her first adult novel, and it's kind of like a paranormal thriller mystery, very different than her other stuff. However, I love her writing so much that I feel like I should read it. I did try reading it at one point, but I never actually got into it, and I'm going to give it another shot, and hopefully I will be able to once again see this one through. There's a lot of books that I pick up and then I put down and then I just don't pick up again, and it's sad. Speaking of that, Starla C by Erin Morgenstern. So I read The Night Circus, wasn't a huge fan of it. I've read it twice, tried the audiobook and physically reading it, and it just didn't really mesh with me that much. Super disappointed in that. However, the Starla C kind of sounds a little bit more appealing to me. I was listening to the audiobook and I was liking it, but my attention was kind of wandering, which is why I put it down. Maybe I'll try the audiobook again and actually follow along in the book. I think that that might work, but I know so many people love this book, so I hope that I will too. Speaking of sequels, once again, is The Reluctant Queen by Sarah Beth Durst. This is kind of a similar situation to The Wicked King, because this is the sequel to The Queen of Blood, and I had this one, and then this one wasn't even a year in between though, but The Queen of Sorrow came out. That's the third one of this series, and I have that one, and the pre-order showed up, and I thought I had plenty of time to read this, but I didn't get to it, and then it got away from me. Timekeeper by Tara Sim. This is a fantasy historical fiction. It's set in Victorian times, but it's an alternate Victorian time where there's clocks that control everything. So that seems really cool. I actually started listening to this audiobook about a month ago, but I got distracted by other things, but I was really enjoying that. So hopefully I'll find time to listen to it soon. Next is The Crown's Fate by Evelyn Skye, another sequel. This is the sequel to The Crown's Game, which is kind of like The Night Circus, but I liked it a lot more personally. I can't remember what happened in the first one, so I'll definitely have to refresh myself, but it was such a fun, magical story that I think I would really like it. It's like a magical competition between two characters, and the magic system was really cool and very well done. I could totally visualize everything, so I think the sequel will probably be the same. I think that the first one may have ended on a cliffhanger. I don't really remember, but I definitely had wanted to continue with it because I did buy it. Next is Call Down the Hawk by Maggie Stiefvater. This is the first book of the Ronin-centered trilogy, so it's a spin-off of the Raven Boys Quartet, or the Raven Cycle Quartet, and I really love that series. It's one of my favorites, and I honestly don't know why I haven't picked this up yet. I think a lot of these, they came out around like September to December, which is when a lot of books come out. So May, the beginning of May, there's always a ton of books that come out, and then the beginning of September, there's a ton of books that come out, and because of that, they all come out, and it's like I'm reading spooky books, sort of, because I don't really have the problem with the May books. It's more so I'm reading spooky books around September, October, and then it's Christmas time and I'm doing Bookmas and everything, so everything's just crazy and everything just slips through my fingers, and that's why I end up having a giant pile of like recent releases that came out in September of each each year that I forget about because I try to keep up as the year is going on, so it's a mess. Next is The Beautiful by Renee Ahdieh. I actually kind of considered starting this audiobook today. I was choosing between 3 books, but I ended up going with the one, and the other 2, this being one of them, I will try to get to soon. I've heard some kind of mixed things about this one. I think that's why I've been a little bit hesitant. I also have mixed feelings about the author's books. Like, there's a couple that I've really loved, and then the other one I wasn't that huge of a fan of, so I'm hoping that this one will be one that I'll like. Next is Girls of Paper and Fire by Natasha Young. I've heard amazing things about this book, and I have been meaning to read it, but it kind of has just fallen into the time of when I've been struggling with fantasy and high fantasy specifically, and this book is that, so it has been a victim of my struggles. And finally, and appropriately finally, I didn't even realize until I just picked this book up, but it is Finale by Stephanie Garber. See, finale, finally, but it's the finale of the video anyways. So this is the final book of the Caraval series, which I really enjoy. I know it has some mixed reviews, but I like it a lot, and I don't remember what happened in the 3rd one, let alone even the 2nd one, to be honest. I'm definitely gonna have to refresh my memory, but I think it's time for me to finish this series, finally. So that was a very long list, but I probably just like scratched the surface of my bookshelves of books that I am very, very late to, and I mean, you can see my bookshelves over there look pretty decimated, but I'm super excited about these books. Like, I feel like I have some really great books to look forward to. That's why I don't really mind having a big TBR, because I have a ton of books that I can read and always be excited to read. I do wish I had more time to read them, but I'm working on that. So thank you once again very much to Disney Book Group for sponsoring today's video. Don't forget to get your copy of Unbirthday by Liz Braswell. It is out now, and I will also have a link in the description down below for you guys. I cannot wait to read this. Hopefully this won't end up on a list. No, it's not going to, because I am going to read the Twisted Tales very soon, hopefully before the end of the year. That's my plan. Fingers crossed. This is definitely the one that I'm most excited for. I cannot wait. But please let me know if you have read any of these books, your thoughts on them, which ones I should maybe, I mean, some of them aren't even worth my time, or which ones I should try and prioritize. Your opinion is very helpful in these situations. So thank you so much for watching today's video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!